And we're on. Hello, and welcome to podcast episode 126 of Rope Boxing. Well, the two Daves are back on a Thursday evening to bring you a little bit of a preview and prediction show going into this weekend's boxing action. As you know, it's a Thursday night, as I've just said there. I've got to go to work. Dave's literally just got in the door, got his work uniform in, he's huffing, he's puffing, he's sweating. That's commitment for you guys. So we're not going to do our kind of usual talk and then different gambits and then go on. We go straight into Prediction League and we go straight into this weekend's fights. And if we've got time, maybe talk about a few of the things that have been going on in the boxing world. We'll mention a certain Mr. Vasily Lomachenko on the news we heard of him today. Before I start, though, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you're new on whatever podcast platform you use, and obviously on here on YouTube. Right, Prediction League, Dave. Let's jump straight into that, mate, because we didn't talk about that on Monday's show. Here's my banner. There we go. Right, so...
Apologies, I'm rubbing my head. I am sweating.
You're more than entitled to, mate. You've had a hard day in the city of London, so this is your relaxation stage. You wouldn't think it, though, because you've literally had to come from the other side of London, I'm guessing, to get here.
I did,
Never mind. Right. Last time we done our Prediction League, I was leading with 9. Dave was on 8. Let's see how we got on going into this weekend. So we'll start with Taylor versus Echo Wesserman. That's the only place to start. Let's have a look at me scribbling notes as usual. We both went with Josh Taylor. So that's no points for us there. Atuma versus Balogun. I went for Atuma by KO in round 1, so 3 points to me. And they've got a full house because you went for Moses Atuma in round 2, so that's 6 points for him. Harper versus Zimmerman. Both went for Harper. I went for the KO, so just a 1 point for me. And Dave went on points, so that's 3 points for him there. Maxi Hughes and Archie Sharp. I went for Maxi Hughes on points, so I gained 3 points there. Dave went for the disappointing Archie Sharp, which gives him 0. And our last fight was Angelo Leo versus Kameda. We both went for Angelo Leo. I went for the KO, so I'll just get the 1 point. And Dave sensibly went for the points, which gives him 3 points, taking the scores on that weekend to myself 8, Dave Holland 12. Going into this weekend, the score stand at Dave G 9, Dave Holland 9. He's back in the game.
I'll tell you what, it's only Archie Sharp's awful fucking performance that meant I didn't have a full house. Because I've nailed it.
Bar Taylor. I mean, you're doing
Oh,
Taylor.
Sorry, Bar Taylor. Yeah, Bar Taylor.
Yeah,
and actually, when I listened back of it, we both did. Said it's banana skin. Yeah. I was umming and ahhing, but you know, such is life. But yeah, I had a pretty good week. But 9-9. I think that's your fuck now because we've had this before.
Well, we've got 7 to do this weekend, and I can't imagine. Well, we might go the same way. Who knows? We sometimes come up with a few shocks. So let's crack straight into it, guys. Friday night over at Newcastle Arena. Josh Kelly, he makes his first appearance of 2025 live on Channel 5 under the Wasserman banner, as you probably know. He takes on Romania's Flavius Bia. Kelly 16-1, 8 KOs. At the age of 31 now, Dave, Josh Kelly's I'm not disappointed with his style because on the optic test, he's very good to watch. Very good to watch. Very slick, very fast, makes nice shapes, nice silhouettes. The only thing he does lack is a bit of punch power, but you don't always need punch power. You can get by doing, the sweet science, as we know, with certain other fighters all around the different weight classes. So he has got the full package. He was dumped by Eddie Hearn a few years back after the Avanesian defeat. It was a bit too early for him. Built his way back up to an extent. We saw him last year in against Ishmael Davis. I think it was it was the Wembley card. Were you at that one?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
You was at that's the one. Yeah, you had the Dubois AJ fight. No idea how Davis clawed it back to a majority draw. I think there was 2 rounds there where Josh Kelly kind of ran out of steam because he was literally dominating with those skills. Skills to burn, by the way, Josh Kelly, if anybody's ever seen him. But he's not kicking on, Dave. I don't know whether it's a Channel 5 thing, whether it's a Wasserman thing, where I think he's still with Adam Booth, where they still won't they let him off the leash. I mean, I've heard him this week calling out the likes of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. and bravely talking about Murtaz Eliev, 3 completely different fighters there. Yeah. But I like Josh Kelly. I like what he stands for, but he's 31 now. This ain't a great main event. I expect him to get the job done. But I think it's just going to be a Josh Kelly doing Josh Kelly things, kind of a, he'll look laboured back end of the fight. He might even let his opponent back into it. I know nothing about this Romanian kid. He's 24-1, 12 KOs. Yeah. Barely fights out of Romania, mate. I don't like the matchmaking because I think Josh Kelly should now starting to kick on from this level opponent, but it's quite clearly not. What are you thinking, mate? I'm not excited for this, to be fair.
Listen, I can't get up for the fight. I feel sorry for Josh Kelly. I do feel that he's been dealt a bit of a shit hand, really. Like I said there, I know he always gets talked about with Evanesian. listen, sometimes you go into fights where they are a bit soon, but we talk about daring to be great, and he's gone in there quite young, and had he won that fight, I think his career would have took a different trajectory. I think he's been treated quite harshly.
Eddie wouldn't have dumped him. That's a fact.
Yeah, he got dumped after that fight, which was harsh, and he's never really recovered. And again, unlucky as well, because that Ismail Davis fight is meant to be Liam Smith. Now he goes in there and beats Liam Smith. Again, his career takes a different trajectory. So I do think he's had a bit of hard luck. Listen, boxing skills, you can't take it away from Josh Kelly. He has got all the skills in the world, and he really has. He's a very, very good, slick boxer. Good footwork, throws good combinations. He's a really good boxer. But if you're looking at the hard luck and fair shakes, I think he's up there with that. I don't think he's been given a fair shake when it comes to opportunities and whatnot. So this. Again, I know it's Channel 5 is people like boxing and it's traditional TV, so it will get good numbers. They talk about Harlem Eubank when he had that stinker, still getting great numbers and that, and it will do.
Because they thought it was Chris. They thought it was Chris.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when the numbers come out of this, I think it will do all right. I've looked at this guy Flavius Bia. His record, he's a padded record. It's a padded record to make the list look like it's going to be competitive, and it's not going to be. You love the term Binman. I think for me, I mean, I'll be very surprised if he goes out there and shocks the world. But I've looked at his record. Never been with anyone of Josh Kelly's skill levels, and I think Josh Kelly takes him to school here. And it does for me, it does nothing for him. He comes through this. He's expected to. If he loses this, it's game over. And so again, this we talk about these lose-lose situations. For this, I don't get it. And these Wasserman cards throw this up because I know we keep talking about Harlem Eubank, but he is very much the poster boy for Channel 5. He goes in with guys like this. I know he was in with McKenna recently, and it was a good win. But prior to that, it was against guys like this. So, and then what happens is when they do go in with names, it tends to be not with Wasserman. Eubank's now going in with Jack Cattrall.
Yeah.
But it ain't on Channel 5. Do you know what I mean? So I know you got to stay busy and you got that, but for me, Josh Kelly, he's just sort of plateaued at this sort of,
he's better than this. He's better than this.
He gets nothing from this really, other than rounds, and being a little and keeping him active. So for me, it's an unfair fight really. I mean, he's going to have eyeballs on this because there'll be a few on it, and there'll be people that didn't know Josh Kelly that will say, well, he's got some boxing skills. But again, he's 31. He needs to kick on, and he's not going to kick on against Flavius Bia. So, it's a hard, but it's a catch-22 because, what else does he do? He either fights these cards or he doesn't fight at all. So it's a difficult one for him, mate. He's in a lose-lose for this. But for me, he's going to go out there, and I think he's going to make a statement. I think he is because I don't think much of his opponent looking at his record. So for me, I'm going to go in. I think Josh Kelly's going to look great. I think he's going to look like $1 million against a guy like this because he's tailor-made for that. Yeah. Because actually, and you're right, he does because his boxing skills, no one can question them. But for me, I think he's going to get the stoppage, and I think he's going to stop this guy in round 5.
Yeah. Positive for him. It's it's not even in his hometown. It's up in the northeast. He's Sunderland, and it's in Newcastle. So there'll be a lot of locals out watching him. He'll sell a few tickets, but he's better. He's much better than this level. I don't know how many more times we're going to have to say he's going to have to kick on. He's have to kick on. Be nice for him to get the Eubank fight, the Ben fight for his bank balance more than anything. He's calling out the likes of Murtazeliev. I mean, I said the other week about Bakoli and Atuma, be careful what you wish for because that guy will end you worse than Avanesian did. And I'm a Josh Kelly fan, by the way. That's no disrespect to him, but that guy is
he's a real deal. He's a real deal, man.
So, I'm going to go points, mate, just because I'm not too sure how durable this Romanian bin man, as you call it. And is he coming to survive? Go on, mate.
Yeah, can I just quickly ask you that? Now that you've gone, now I know what you're predicting. That if he goes to points and does Josh Kelly things, how are you rating his performance? Because
rinse and repeat.
You know what you're getting from him. So if he does what Josh Kelly does, are you going to say that's a good sparkling performance?
On the optic test, because it'd be slick, it'd be counter punch, it'd be fast feet, all that kind of thing. But he just won't be able to get rid of him. I don't think he'd be able to get rid of him. I would like him to, but I think this guy possibly just come to survive. The generalship he'll know how to navigate his way around a ring. I'm guessing.
But then, the reason I asked is because Josh Kelly's wins are mostly like that. So if you're looking at him and thinking he's stepping up and he could be something in the future. If he just does the same thing he always does, would you call it a sparkling performance? That's why I asked. I know it's a hard question.
Yeah, it's a sparkling performance in terms of what he does, but then I'll say look at the level of opponent. He done it against Davis, but the back end of the fight, championship round, he ran out of gas. He ran out of gas, but the skills were all there. No, yeah, sparkling's probably an overused term for him, but it is nice to watch. He just lacks, the killer instinct, if you like. But I'm going points, mate. I'm going points for him. Just quickly before we move on to Saturday night, Dan Howard's on this, guys. Our friend Mickey McGrath went to the Eubank fight over in Brighton, shot knockout by the African kids that night. So he's back out. Tom Welling, Cyrus Patterson, the usual suspects on these Razaman cards. And I did notice when I was going to do my notes in the weekday, Felix Cash was on this card. So I got a little bit excited seeing, what he's all about. Is he making a comeback after the Tyler Denny defeat? Looks like he's been pulled out or he's pulled himself out again. So it doesn't look good. He was supposed to be the next guy at 168, Mr. Cash, but it just hasn't worked out for him for whatever reason. So he won't be on this card. But Channel 5.
Last time Tyler Denny had a pop at you.
He did, and he's more than welcome to. I think I was the only one in the boxing community that had Felix Cash winning the fight, but
at least he went on and listened to the show.
Fair play to him, and I hope he's a regular listener.
He probably forwarded it to his section. I don't imagine he listened to it all.
I doubt it.
Listen, we'll take what we can get on it.
Correct, mate. I've jumped the gun a bit there. I don't suppose it matters. Those two fights are on the same night anyway, so I'm going to ask you which one are you going to watch first, or which show are you going to watch? So I'm literally, guys, anybody it's on audio, I clicked my banner there, it come up as Callum Simpson, but he's fighting exactly the same night and exactly the same time as Fabio Wardley. But we will start with Fabio Wardley versus Justis Huni at Portman Road in Ipswich. Sounds weird to have a boxing event at Portman Road, especially at Ipswich, but he's a hometown hero, he's a hometown boy. That's his club. Was supposed to be Fabio Wardley versus Jarrell Miller. For whatever you think of Jarrell Miller, he would have sold the fuck out of this. It had more eyeballs on it. Don't get wrong, there is still a lot of eyeballs on this fight, but there would have been more. That's what he does. But I actually think this fight, Dave, against Justis Huni, it is not a late. I heard a lot of people saying he's a late replacement. He's had about 6 weeks. So that's not a late replacement at all. That's half training camp.
And the thing is, he's had a decent camp and he would have been in training anyway.
Correct. So it's not a late replacement. It's just a replacement. And I think this could be a better fight. I think we know what we're getting from Jarrell Miller. Now he's off the gear. He's just a big lump that comes forwards, pushes his chest on you, throws sort of clubbing, sluggish hooks, kind of hopes for the best now and tries to wear you down and take you out that way. Justis Huni's got a lot of pedigree amateur. And you know where I'm going with this question now. He's got a lot of pedigree amateur. Me and Dave have covered him on this podcast. I've seen a lot of podcasts this week kind of saying they don't really know a lot about him. But that's the difference with Robodope. If you go back into the archives, we've done about his last 3 or 4 fights.
Yeah.
And I know my prediction, obviously, for the show anyway, on which way this is going to go. But Huni is the amateur, the guy that's got the amateur class. He's got the better background. He's come from boxing at a young age, all that kind of jazz involved. Whereas Fabio Wardley is known, or is he known, Dave, after his great performances against Fraser Clark and David Adelaide. There's another good amateur, correct? He even beat Nathan Gorman, who was a decent amateur as well. Is he still known as the white collar guy? Because I think that tag is gone. However, if he does lose on Saturday night, mate, what is the first thing people are going to throw him? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no, you're right. You're exactly right. I'm looking forward to this fight, and you had it right there. This is a better fight than Jarrell Miller. It really is. And like you said, Justis Huni, we have covered him here, and he's blown hot and cold as well. I mean, the newest, the buzzword we have on there is sparkling performance. I've probably said a few times, but
without going back into the archives, I think the last couple of times we've watched him, we've kind of said he looks good, but he's lacks that something.
Yeah,
he's lacked that something. So he went from Kevin Lorena when he was hurt and buzzed by a cruiserweight who can punch at heavyweight, to going against. We probably use this term a lot today on the show, against bin men when he's got rid of him in 2 rounds. Now he's jumping up to Fabio Wardley with that thing. We always said there's something missing with Huni that we're not just quite, don't think he's quite ready for the top contenders, but that's from memory, mate, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly. And you're exactly right. And he does have a lot of skills. He does. And for me, this is a risky fight for Justis Huni. Like I say, one, he didn't need to take it. It's a fair fucking play to him. You know, the opportunities come up. He's probably getting paid a nice whack. But he didn't need to take it. But see if he does take this fight and wins it. You know, say what you want about Fabio Wardley. He is a name. yes, we can talk about his pedigree and we can talk about the white collar stuff and all that sort of stuff. But this is a big win for Huni should he get it. So, and like I say, I'm more interested in this one. This is a real interesting fight. I'm looking forward to this because as we talk about pedigree and stuff like that, and Justis Huni, based on what he's done in his amateurs, that should win this and win this well. But I've gone against Fabio Wardley quite a lot, and he's proved me wrong a few times, and he's continued to do that. Listen, the man, he's a tough man. His nose was busted in the first fight. You know what I mean? He showed some grit. They got a draw against another real good Olympian. A British Olympian. He's
medal winner, yeah.
So Fabio Wardley deserves to be where he is, regardless of his background. He's earned his stripes, and again, this is a good fight, and I'm looking forward to this. This is a hard one to call because me and you are boxing purists, and we know sort of stuff. So in an ideal world, Justis Huni should box the ears off of Fabio Wardley, but that's not going to happen.
This is pro boxing, baby. This is pro boxing.
Exactly, and it's a different sport. We've spoken about this. It's a different sport. Yes, it gives you a good springboard into the pros, but not always the best amateurs make the best pros. So there's a give and take here. This is a great fight, and this is going to be a really good fight. It depends on how Justis Huni approaches it. If Justis Huni wants to stand centre of the ring and prove he's macho and go down that route, it's a bad night. It's a bad night.
Yeah.
But he's got, and then if he chooses to box and show his amateur pedigree, he's got to be able to do that for 12 rounds. We've never seen that either. Where what's his gas tank like? Can he keep Fabio Wardley off? Because Fabio Wardley will come forward and throw bombs. So this is a really intriguing fight. I like this fight, and I liked it more than Gerald Miller because again, you said that Gerald Miller will pour forward, and
you know what you're getting.
You know what you're getting with that. This is more intriguing, and but again for Fabio Wardley, it is progression. Again, like I say, Justis Huni, you say there people don't know about him, we do and whatnot, but. And again, Fabio Wardley comes through. This is a good win against, and he is a prospect still, but he's a well trained,
he's touted to be a world champion. He's not touted just to be a contender or just a run of the mill, earn a few quid and piss off. He's been touted as a future world champion. So yeah, you're right. It will be a good win if he does.
It is a good win for either man. So which makes this fight really intriguing. I'm looking forward to this, and this is a hard one to call, but I'm good. Obviously, we have to. We're on here. I've gone against Fabio Wardley quite a lot, but I'm not going to this time. I'm going to go for Fabio Wardley to just have a bit too much. I think he's going to the pressure will be a little bit too much. I think Justis Huni will win rounds and he will look good in certain rounds, but I think Fabio Wardley will overwhelm him, and I think Fabio Wardley's going to get the stoppage in round 9.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Same. I'm going stoppage as well, mate. My stoppage I think he's going to be behind on the cards, Wardley. I think he's going to be a mile behind on the cards because we have seen him improve. I think he's with Ben Davison, isn't he? Wardley. He's improved, his footwork and gets behind the jab and he finds the range well. Went into a war with big phrase. Where's his his art on his sleeve, if you like. He's got a right pair of bollocks. He can fight. He can bang. He can go to war. But I think Huni will stick to the boxing for a while. I think it's going to catch him with a single shot. Not similar to the Fraser clock, not that early, but it's going to be a single shot that does the damage, wobbles him tough, smells blood, and gets rid of him. Because when I went back and watched the Kevin Lorena fight, he's got great skills. You can tell he's an amateur. He's still got the amateur style. But defensively, he's not great. He's quite open through the middle. And when Lorena landed a couple on him and buzzed him, Fabio Wardley hits a lot harder than Lorena.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going for exactly the same way, mate. It'll be a night. It could be a good night in Ipswich for the Ipswich faithful. They might get a bit frustrated. It might turn into a bit of a bore fest at the start because I think Huni will control the fight with the jab. Midway through the fight, I think Fabio's going to get in close, land one. It's going to be game over. I think it's just going to be as simple as that. So yeah, I'm going to go a little bit earlier, mate. I'm going to go for round 5 for a Fabio Wardley win, and I want Fabio to win as well. It's not sometimes I say I couldn't give a shit. I want him to win.
Yeah, he's a good. I say there's a lot to like about him. There's a lot to like about Fabio Wardley.
Nice
and like I say, you can sort of the fact that he hasn't had the amateur pedigree and he's come the white collar way. You can sort of relate to like I wouldn't say normal man, but like the working man. You can sort of get on with that. You know what I mean? It's feel like he's one of us.
Yeah, it's white collar, isn't he? Originally white collar. That's where the question will come. If he gets beaten, if he gets beat bad and knocked out, the narrative will be, well, it was only a matter of time before he come against someone with Olympic pedigree, European, medals coming out of his arse. He got away with one against Big Freight and all that kind of stuff. It's coming, but that will only come if he gets beat.
And I think when he stepped up to a bigger level than Huni, you may hear that. I don't think you're going to hear it this weekend.
No.
But again, we've been wrong before.
Definitely. Before I move on to Callum Simpson, Pierce O'Leary versus Liam Dillon on this card, European Super Lightweight Championship. It's probably the pick of the undercard fights. EBU. I know there's been a few stinkers with the EBU, but this one I think will deliver, especially with Pierce O'Leary. It's very, very good, the Irishman. And just quickly, Dave, Dillian White was supposed to be on here against TBA. Pulled out. Yeah. Any reason why? Are we thinking?
I know. Well, I've heard they pulled him out because apparently something big's coming in September. From what I can see, there's something massive apparently. Probably be Joshua.
Can you get up for that?
No. Let's move on. Let's move swiftly on. No, not at all.
Yeah, you're right, mate. Let's move swiftly on. Callum Simpson.
Sorry about that, mate. It sounded rude there.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm with you. Callum Simpson, same time as I said as Fabio Wardley, different location, hometown hero again in Barnsley, Oakwell Stadium. I've jumped on the Callum Simpson train. I love watching this guy. I can't believe how big he is, by the way. I remember, I think I said on the podcast a few months back when I was out in Saudi and he was having photographs with David Benavidez, the monster, and he overtowered Benavidez. I'm like, you ain't going to be at 168 for much longer. You're absolutely huge. But I like what he's doing. He's going down the traditional route, Dave. Commonwealth, British. He's going for the European title this weekend. He takes on the Italian guy, Ivan Zucco. This is a tough fight. I think this is, from what I've seen of Zucco, this is a tough fight. Another guy, similar in terms of not fighting out of Italy. I think he's fought in Switzerland or a couple of other places like that, but he hasn't really fought outside of mainland Europe. The resume doesn't stack up against Callum Simpson, but Callum Simpson hasn't got a great resume. He just seems to be improving on the job, getting better and better and better. He's sitting down the shots more. It's very exciting to watch. Plus, he's from the same stable as Jasmina Sapatochta and Silvio Duligala, who will be there on Saturday night. So I might be watching this one just so I can spot them. I've been Instagramming them as I always do, But I don't think this is a walk in the park for Callum Simpson. I'm a Callum Simpson fan. I will be backing him. I want him to win. I do think he'll get the job done. But this guy's tough, Dave. From what I've seen, he's tough. He's durable. He's front-footed. He throws in combinations. I don't think he's ever been stopped. He seems to have a decent chin. This is a hard night's work. I'm not sure if Callum will get rid of him, but I think Callum might just have enough to get the job done at Oakwell. I'd love him to see him get a stoppage. I haven't come to my conclusion yet if he is going to get a stoppage, but this is the hard. Even on paper, it's probably the hardest fight of his career so far.
Yeah, see, the thing is, we talk about the European title, and sometimes some of the opponents you think have had they're very questionable. Now, I'm not going to turn around and say Ivan Zucco is the next coming, but
no.
I'm with you. I do think this is a hard fight. I do think this is going to be a tough night's work. Now, he's got 21 wins with 18 knockouts. Now, you can talk about resumes and stuff like that, and we've seen these records before, and they've turned out to be binman.
Can I just interrupt you, though? You? You are right what you're saying, but we've said this about so many bums, whether it be in America, or Europe, Australia. But actually looking at footage of this guy, he kind of knows what he's doing, if that makes sense. He's not in there just swinging, windmills and hoping for the best. It's kind of an educated pressure, front-footed pressure, So add that bit in, mate. That's why I think it's going to be a closer fight than.
That's what I was sort of getting at with this guy. Like I say, we've covered European fights many times in the 126 episodes we've spoken about, and sometimes. And I always go back to Lewis Ritson. When Lewis Ritson was going through the British like a dose of salts, that you say, and then he come up against a guy. I think it was Ponus or whatever it was for the European, and got absolutely scored. And for me, never really recovered. Now, the odd time it throws up some European guy that you don't really know too much about. I know you've watched him, but he throw him up, and he comes out of nowhere, and you think, wow, this guy, is a solid fighter. Is the same guy, the Gladiator as well? They throw up these type of guys that come out of nowhere.
Fianello. Yeah.
I have these type of vibes with this Ivan Zucco. Now, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you look at the European fighters, you think they ain't up to much. It's going to be a run of the mill sort of stuff. You might as well give them the belt now. That I don't tend to get that. I hope I'm wrong. I'd like nothing more than Callum Simpson to go through him and make a statement, go through him early. But I get a feeling this is going to be a hard night's work. But again, I'm with you. Callum, I like the narrative with Callum Simpson at the moment. You know, he's got a good back and he sells tickets. You know, he's got the Barnsley, and there's a lot of. He's a likable character, and he's the type of guy a British boxing fan can get behind. You know, like I'm not going to put him in your Ricky Hatton sort of brackets and stuff, or your Josh Warrington and stuff, but he ain't far off
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but he's a likable guy, and you know what? For me, although he's very Barnsley heavy, he speaks to, for me, the whole of the UK. I think the whole of the UK can get, regardless of where he's from, can get behind him, and he's getting that, and he's doing everything right. And I'm with you. I hope he does a job. I'm a fan. I do think it's going to be one of his hardest nights. I actually do. I think it's going to be one of his hardest fights. I think he's going to have to dig deep. I think he's going to, I think this guy's going to come forward. He's not going to really take a backward step, and he's going to be a tough night's work. I do think he's going to come through it, but I think he's going to come through it on a close points decision. I don't see the stoppage. I think it's going to be a hard night's work. He's going to have to work every minute of every round. I do think he's going to have a little bit more quality, and show his quality. But I think he's going to have to dig deep. But I'm going to go for Callum Smith on points. But I think it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, I do as well. I think it's going to be a really good fight. Let's see what each guy's got left at the end as well. I see Callum can box, but he likes to come forward. This guy likes to come forward. I don't think his game plan, the game set is to box. I think it's come forward, educated pressure. What's the gas tank like? I'm not too sure because I've only seen highlight reel moments and clips of him. So, I think it's going to be a really good fight, mate. I really do. And I'm going to go the same way, Dave. I'm going to go for Callum to get the job done on points. I think this guy might be just too tough.
Yeah,
but who knows? This is on Sky Sports. Fabio Wardley's on DAZN at the same time, mate. Which one are you tuning into?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. This because again,
or is it a case of just flicking over to see who's on? Is one of them?
I think I'm going to have to flip it between the two. I think I'm going to have to. I like the Wardley fight. I think that's going to be a good fight. But I also like Callum Simpson. So it's a tough one. And Zabatochna is a friend of the show. So, and she's
a friend of ours now. She's a friend of ours.
She is. Yeah, she is.
And Sylvia's a friend of ours, and she's fighting next week, by the way. So we'll give her a bit of a preview and a review on here as well. But just quickly on this card before we go to the States, mate. Reece Edwards is fighting against Thomas Asomba. That looks a really good fight. Anybody remembers Reece Edwards? Yeah. He was a late replacement against Peter McGrail for Dennis McCann. Yeah. Really good show that night. Frankie Stringer's one to watch. The Scouse kid, he's up against Kane Baker. And we see Adam Azim on the card, Dave. Now, this is a late replacement. 3 days' notice. Elliot Chavez, Ben Shalom and Team Azim must think there's no jeopardy here whatsoever. The guy's 12-7. I think he's lost 6 of his last. He's won 4 of his last 6 or something like that, or 2 of his last 6. I can't remember which one it was. It doesn't look to be any jeopardy. This literally must be.
It's just
get on the card, keep busy. Yeah. I didn't see that. I saw on Twitter the other day, there's a big announcement coming from Adam Azim. So you start rubbing around, you're thinking, world title fights, and you find out he was on the undercard against Elliot Chavez. But we're massive Adam Azim fans. We're not going to make a prediction. I think we know how it's going to go. Glad to see him out, but I didn't see that coming, mate.
No, I see that announcement. Yeah, as soon as it flashed up, his opponent is keep busy. Obviously, there's something coming in the summer. Just get him out, get him a couple of rounds. Ring, but a little bit. Not that he needs ring rust, but just shake off the cobwebs. After a little bit of time out, ready for something big in the summer. That's all that is. So that you couldn't put this on the prediction.
No. Let's jump over to the States then. We're talking. There's a lot of hometown boys this week. We've got Fabio Wardley at home. We've got Callum Simpson at home. We've got another one at home here. Norfolk, Virginia. Keyshawn Davis. He makes his first defense of his WBO lightweight title as he takes on a good opponent. This is a good opponent for his first defense in Edwin De Los Santos. De Los Santos, is for anyone that doesn't remember, boxing fans should, was the guy that accused Shakur Stevenson of running when most fans left the stadium in Newark that night. You know how the story goes, guys. But Keyshawn, 13-0 now, 9 knockouts. Dos Santos, 16-2, 14 KOs. Those 2 defeats, he's never been stopped. But let's jump in with Keyshawn Davis, mate. The last 2 fights we've seen him in, Gustavo Lemos and Dennis Berenchyk. Dennis Berenchyk, we thought was going to be a hard fight. We also thought the Lemos fight was going to be a hard fight. And over those 2 fights, even though he's waxed lyrical about Keyshawn in the previous fights we've seen him in, the feet are perfect. The pivot, I love the way he pivots. He's that we talk about the Black American style. The hand to speed, the foot to speed, the range finding. the feints, the head movement, everything that comes along with them. They're just so good to watch. But one thing we did say about him, he doesn't really like to engage. Doesn't, you know, he kind of fight. He boxes his way out rather than fights his way out. Those last two fights we've seen him, all of a sudden, this kind of man strength's come from nowhere, and he's happy to trade. He's happy to stand in the pocket and trade, because all of a sudden, I'm not saying all of a sudden in terms of he's juiced. Of course I'm not. He hasn't failed any test. He's as legit as they come, as far as we know. But he seems to have developed this one-punch power. Now, is it down to being with Bomac? Possibly. You know, Terence Crawford's trainer. Trainer of the year, Bomac. Was it last year or the year before? There's something in that gym. Like, there's certain gyms around the world that just produce great talent. Keyshawn Davis could be the best of this very, very good bunch. You've got Keyshawn, you've got Chaka, you've got Tank. And now, obviously, if anybody hasn't heard, Lomachenko's retired today. So the IBF doing IBS things, I'm guessing they'll upgrade Raymond Muratella to full champion and make him fight Andy Cruz, or whichever way around that is. And that is a filthy division of pure, basically American talent. So, and his opponent, mate, just quickly before I let you come in, Dos Santos likes to come forward, likes to throw. That's why Shaka frustrated him so much, because he was thrown against shadows. I could see this going to a bit of a war in the middle of the ring. I don't see Keyshawn backing down from Dos Santos. He's probably had a nosy at the Shaka fight and thought, well, he's doing this, he's doing that. I can navigate my way out of the way, just like Shaka. But as he's coming in, I can catch him. And I can catch him one punch, because I've got this one punch power that's made the world sit up and think, fucking hell, Keyshawn Davis, you're that guy. And I'm going straight in here, mate. I'm high on Keyshawn. I think he's a great kid. I like everything he stands for. I love the way his boxes, and he's added that to his bow. He's added that knockout power to his bow. How crazy that sounds in professional boxing, he fucking has. And I think he's gonna. I think Edwin De Los Santos is gonna have his first defeat of his career in terms of being knocked out. I'm going for Keyshawn to knock him out late into the championship rounds. I'm going to go for round 10. I think this is going to be a great fight. Dos Santos is a tough night's work, but I'm on the Keyshawn train. Yes, it's what have you done for me lately, but it's impressed me so much late, and that's why I am on the train. I've been cheering for Keyshawn. I am a fan. Round 10 knockout, mate. How you seeing this one, bro?
I'm with you, mate. I remember I announced this in David McDonald, and I sort of poo-pooed Edwin De Los Santos based on the fact that I've got this bee in my bonnet about opportunities for, like, what have you done for me lately?
Yes, you did. Yeah, that's right.
About that, and you said that. You said something to me about it at the time. Like I say, we always go back to Jack Catchall. I mean, it does go down to promotion and rocking the mic and all that sort of stuff. But you know, he's got another opportunity based on what. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not poo-pooing him as a fighter. Like you said there, he is a good fighter. Is he world level? Possibly not. You know, he's going to be one of them fighters.
We don't know. The two fights that he's had, well, one of them's obviously to Shaka. He stepped up. Whatever you think of the fight he lost, he still lost. I can't remember his other defeat, Dave.
If he loses to Keyshawn Davis, he's going to be one of them ones where he's only lost to world level opponents. You know, he's never got champions, to them fights. You know, he's one of them. And we talk about these guys quite a lot. So I poo-pooed that at the time. Based on, but we're here now, and based on the fight, I think it will be a good fight. I think he'll make a fight of it. I think it'll be a different type of fight to the Shakur Stevenson one. I know he got accused of running Stevenson, but he outboxed him. And when you're looking at, we're talking about running with your Charlie Edwards and the guy the other day, Archie Sharp. You know, when you look at these guys, they're not running. Yeah, they're not running compared to what we've just witnessed.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to be that type of fight. Keyshawn Davis is not going to fight on the back foot and move around like Shakur Stevenson and let Edwin De Los Santos be the aggressor. I think that Keyshawn Davis, based on his last two fights, he's not fighting like that now. So he will. His skill levels are better than De Los Santos. If he wanted to fight that way, he could. But at the moment, he's not fighting that way. He's standing.
Confidence is high. Confidence is high. Sky high, man.
He will meet him in the center of the ring. He will show his boxing skills to me. So if he wants to outbox him, he will. But he is showing this one punch power. You know, he is showing sharp, fast, crisp shots, and I think you're going to see that. And I'm with you. He's a class apart from Edwin De Los Santos. Yes, De Los Santos will have moments. He will try and press the fight, but I think he will get outworked and outclassed. And I'm with you. I see the first stoppage on his record, and I see it with a body shot. I see him walking onto a body shot and being stopped. So for me, I don't think it goes as late as what you said there. So I think that Keyshawn Davis is going to win with a body shot in round 6.
Yeah. And by the way, when he fought Dennis Berenchik, that was supposed to be a hard fight for him. That was he might have been, if he was at home again that night, he will be on Saturday night. You know, he may have been the favourite with some people, but with other people, Berencic would have been the favourite. And Berencic, for me, is a better boxer than De Los Santos. So the way he went through him, yeah, it could be another great night in Norfolk, mate. And it probably will be a good night because his brother's on the undercard, Calvin Davis. He's fighting. The weird thing, he's fighting against a guy called Nahir Albright. Now, we started doing this podcast in 2023. And it might have been one of the first ones, I don't know if you can recall, Dave, that we kind of spoke about. Keyshawn Davis actually fought this guy, beat him over 10 rounds or whatever it was, might not have been that. And it went to a no contest because I found out Keyshawn had it didn't piss hot. It was found he was using marijuana in his system going into this fight. So it is a banned substance in terms of you're not allowed to have it in your system, but it's not a PED if you like. So no one's ever called him a drug cheat, even though I said about getting his man strip. I didn't mean anything by that. Of course I didn't. But yeah, his brother takes on the old arch enemy, which is good. And also, I wasn't going to go through this as a preview, guys, but I think he's the best prospect in world boxing, if not one of them. Abdullah Mason's back out. You know, Bob Arum keeps him so active, gives him so much experience, building him in the right way. He's stepping up a little bit against Jeremiah Nakatila from Namibia on Saturday night. He's 18-0 now. Mason Abdullah, 16 KOs. I mean, I don't want to bore people, but I can't help not saying the same thing about him over and over again. He's edgy as seat stuff, fast, slick. Again, Black American. It must be a Black American thing. They all fight very similar around these weight classes. It's not a racist thing. It's just the style that they've got. But it's very exciting. It's very spiteful, but it's very slick and exciting. To me, it's how boxing's supposed to be. It really is how boxing's supposed to be. And this, to me, Abdullah Mason's the cream of the crop. This guy's a good fighter. I mean, he's fallen short against Shakur and Moratella and another rising star in Ernesto Mercado. He's been stopped in 2 rounds. So I'm guessing Abdullah Mason will try and use that as a barometer, or, you know, try and better that by getting it done in 1 round. You know, don't know if it'll go that quick, but Abdullah Mason is that guy, if you like, at the moment. When you speak of lightweight prospects or world prospects in boxing, I don't think it's going to go the full distance. No way. He hits too hard. He's too fast. I'll be at work, so I will have this on anyway. I can't wait to see him out, but I'm going straight in. It's quite obvious where I'm going. Nakatila will just be another name, good, half decent name on the resume come Sunday morning. He'll try, but it's nowhere near as good, nowhere near as fast, nowhere near as slick, nowhere near as tough as Abdullah Mason. And he's going to take care of him. I'm going to go round 2 as well, mate. I think he's going to take care of him in 2 rounds, and then we jump into the Keyshawn main event. But yeah, Abdullah Mason, a wax lyrical up there. I think he deserves it. How do you see this one going, brother?
Yeah, listen, I'm with you, mate. Listen, I think everyone in the boxing world, people that do what we do and talk podcasts and that, are all waxing lyrical about Abdullah Mason, and you know, and rightly so. He is a sharpshooter. He's like the Black American, but he's got the lot. This fight for me is a measuring stick. You know, it's a measuring stick. You know, it's one of them ones to say, well, he done it in this, you done it. You know, like Shakur Stevenson done it in 12. I went 12 with him like that. You know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, he gets labelled as, you know, powder puff and, you know, one punch power sort of stuff. But Raymond Monticello, which we spoke about earlier on, is a killer. You know, and Mercado is a great fighter as well. And, you know, his rising star can punch as well. So this is a measuring stick. It's one of them ones, you know, where you measure up against who's been in them before. So it builds a narrative for something in the future. But and I'm with you. And that's exactly what it is for me. It is about, we talk about whenever a Newey comes up, what rounds are you going to detonate? This is an Abdullah Mason moment for that. So I'm with you. I won't go the same. I can see why you've gone for round 2. You know, they both done it in round 2. Shakur went 12. But
you're going 1, are you?
No, I'm going to go 3.
3.
I'm going to go 3. But yeah, listen, it's going to be an Abdullah Mason performance. He's going to be sharp. He's going to be crisp. He's going to be fast, and he's going to pick his punches, and he's going to look sparkling. The sparkling performance is going to look great. And yeah, he's going to take this guy out. It's about which round he decides to do it in. If he wants to go out there and do it in 1 and start, you know, giving it well, you know, these fighters, he can, and I wouldn't put it past him. But I think he's going to go 3, round 3 for me.
Yeah, I mean, he beat Nakatila, beat the Belcher, the Mexican kids, back in 2023 when he's washed up anyway. So it's not really anything to go by, an experienced Belcher. But Yeah, I can only see it. Okay. He's better than Nakatani at literally everything. When you go, start matching them one-on-one, it's looking forward to seeing him. Right. Someone you might be looking forward to seeing, Dave, but I don't know if you'll be a big fan of the fights. One of your favourite fighters, Opetaia, on the Gold Coast in Australia on the Zone, early hours Sunday morning. I think this is around about 10 o'clock in the morning from what I've seen for us here in the UK. Defends IBF and Ring Magazine belts against Italian Claudio Squio. Now, I don't know why the Ring Magazine belt's on the line here. I know Jai's the champion, but normally it's 1 versus 2. This guy's ranked like 14th or 15th. It's no idea what's happening there. But it's let's be totally honest. I'm not just speaking for me or you or the boxing community. I think we can all in agreement. This isn't a great opponent. This isn't what we want. He's getting fed domestic level opponents. He's just, he's just too good. He's too good. We need to see the Zerdo fight. We need to see even the Badou Jack fight so he can do what he wants to do and clean up the division, and then even dip his toe in at Bridgerweight if he wants before he goes up to heavyweight, because these fights are rubbish. I mean, I'm expecting the unbeaten Italian guy to come in and try his best. Of course he is. He's going to another part of the world. He's unbeaten himself. I don't think he's a great puncher. I think Callum Simpson against his Italian is a tougher fight than this. I think Jar just putting a little bit of a show for the Aussie faithful, break him down, hurt him, and fucking smell blood like he always does and stops him. It keeps him busy. It gets him paid. I feel sorry for Jai because he doesn't want this, and he's stated in front of Eddie and the Zone cameras that why am I fighting this guy? You work for me. You should be getting me the best fights, and they're not delivering for him. Yes, he's becoming a name. He's becoming a superstar. He's getting those highlight reel moments. But we, even though we love him and we probably do know that he's the best on the planet at this weight class, we still don't really know how good he is, Dave, until he gets in with Zerdo. That's the only kind of challenge in this week division. We still don't really know how good he is. It's going to be a joy to watching a knockout, but then we're going to come and do this podcast on Sunday or Monday, when we do it, and go, well, yeah, that's exactly what we thought he'd do. Where does he go next? Does he get the Zerdo fight? No, he's got Dorticus. Badou Jack's been ordered to fight Mikhailan again. Where the fuck does he go? So I kind of feel sorry for Jai, but as a fan as well, I'm looking forward to the knockout, which I do believe he will get, and I'll give my prediction what round in a minute when I make my mind up. But yeah, you're a massive fan of Jai. This has got to be slightly disappointing. The level of opponent that he's been fed, year after year since he's kind of burst onto the scene, Yeah,
like I say, I am a massive fan, and I've sort of backed him since we started this podcast, and I've always been a fan. And listen, it's not all of his fault. It is a weak division. If he's going in against former champions, even like Chris Billiam-Smith, any of them type of guys, if they were announced, you could sort of say, well, listen, he's a former world champion. At least it's a level. Now, I said I won't turn off from him because I do really like him. I'm a fan, but I am finding it hard to get up for guys like Claudio Squio. I am, and I can't. If we get through Saturday night and then we wait a couple of months and then another name's announced and it's like, oh, it's very difficult to get off the train. Listen, if Zerdo gets announced,
that's the
fight. We're actually lyrical about it, and I'll get up for it and I'll look forward to it. Again, Badou Jack, I know Mikhailan, they've now got to run that back. But even one of them, even though Badou Jack's older than us,
it's a champion.
It's a champion. It's a unification. It's something. This guy here is no better than the level of Jordan Thompson, and them guys who he's iced in the UK. And so it's frustrating. Again, it's not all of his fault, because if it's a stacked division, and you got fighters and you've got names like the super middleweights when we talk about Belangas and all these type of guys, and you're in Billies and stuff like that. You've got a packed top 10. It's a different situation. If he's then fighting these guys when you've got a ranked number 1s to 10 and they're all names, then that's on him and it's on his team. So I'm sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place on how I feel. I'm not happy about the opponent. But for me, he's going to take him to score. Again, we spoke about Abdullah Mason. It's about when Opetaia decides for me to want to take him out. So I feel his frustration, because you're right. He does come on the mic. He's a very serious guy, and he
very angry man. Very angry man.
He's quite truthful. He tells it how it is. He's not happy with the opponents, but again, there's no who's in this division, so it's one of them. But I'm with you, mate. It's about when I think it's going early. I think he's going to wipe this guy out in round 2. Very much like who was the guy he iced in Riyadh, a British guy. where he fucking head hit the
Zorro.
ropes.
Zorro.
Zorro, yeah. It's going to be very much like that. I'm going round 2, Jaya. I feel for him. Because you said there going to Bridgerweight, he's basically going into something worse than cruiserweight.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I just done it on a weight, dipping his toe in at a different weight. I think he might be a bit too small for heavyweight just yet, but Usyk obviously.
Yeah, exactly right. But I think it's just unlucky in the era we're in, because listen, this is probably one of the worst cruiserweight eras of all time. But we've had some all-time greats come out of cruiserweight. You said there, Alexander Usyk, when he was in the Super Six. Could you imagine if that Joe Opetaia was around then, going into that tournament?
Just makes it better, doesn't he? Just makes it better.
It's amazing. So it's not all of his fault, and I do feel for him. But he's wiping this guy out. And if it's not Zerdo, at least if it's a former world champ or like a current world champ other than him, it's not the fight we want. But listen, if a unification, you can sort of get on with it. But yeah, he's wiping this guy out in 2 for me.
Yeah, Squio is 34 years of age. Again, another one that's never really fought out of Italy. There's nobody on his resume that comes close to Jai Opetaia. He's too fast. He's too spiteful. He's got too much IQ. I'll go for. I think he might put a little bit of a show on for the Gold Coast faithful. I think that's where he's based or where he's born or something. But I'm gonna go for round 5 for Jai to get the job done. That's when we're eating our Cocoa Pops. I might go for Rice Krispies this time. I always have Cocoa Pops on Sunday morning. Just quickly before we move away from Cocoa Pops and maybe jump into a bit of lunch, a bit of ham sandwich or something like that. Terramona Jr. is on this card, Dave. We speak about him as well. I don't get the matchmaking here. So anybody ever knows it at BoxRec, he's on this card. He's in a 4-rounder. So this is an Olympian that only lost to the 2-time gold medalist Bakhtadir Jalolov. He's going backwards on a 4-rounder. His guy that he's fighting is a cruiserweight with a record of 3-9. I mean, you're trying. An Olympian needs fast tracking. Yeah, I don't think he's too well. I think he's 27, 28 or something like that.
Yeah, but
Olympians, mate, he needs. What's this? Yeah. I just find this very odd. He's a matchroom fight under Eddie. Why is he giving a full? There's keep busies and there's not bothering. He's got what's he got now, Dave? I think we talked about it before. I think he's got 5 first-round KOs in 7 fights. He's
getting another one.
Just get another one.
Yeah.
Bizarre matchmaking for Terramona Jr. I don't understand that. You give him a bit better than that. If he's a white collar, I kind of get it, but you're giving him 6 rounders back to 4. An Olympian. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Anyway, but that's on DAZN, as I just said. Jumping over to Sky Sports. Save the best till last. Tokyo, Japan. Pound-for-pound superstar Junto Nakatani takes on fellow countryman Ryosuke Nishida in a unification down at Bantamweight. Both champions, both unbeaten, both Japanese, 9 times out of 10, always deliver. Good fight this when we're eating our lunch on Sunday. Around about 12 o'clock, I think the ring walk is for us in the UK. But as I just said there, Dave, pound-for-pound superstar. This has got a good narrative with it.
Yeah.
And everything that goes along with your Japanese fights. But Junto Nakatani is a special fighter. Yeah. He's a very, very special fighter. And we don't know yet, but he could be even better than Naoya Inoue. This is the fight all of us want to see. I know he's got stuff to do down at bantamweight first, and obviously Inoue's got opponents to take care of at super bantamweight. But this guy, Nishida, is a good boxer. I've gone and had a look properly at this guy. He can move, he can box, he can frustrate you. But Junto Nakatani could do exactly the same, and he's got the equalizer. We talk about big punchers, Inoue, Bam Rodriguez, add Nakatani to that as well. He could possibly be the biggest puncher down at these smaller weights. The guy is a pleasure to watch. He's a genius in the ring. He's in mine and Dave's and probably most boxing fans pound for pound top 10. I can't wait to watch him on Sunday morning. I don't think he's going to go early. I think Nishida's going to make a real fight of it in terms of keeping out of the way and frustrating Nakatani, but he'll get to you. He's too class not to get to you. He does everything right. He does nothing wrong. And he will get to him in the end, and he'll stop him. Again, I don't know what round, mate. I want to let you have your say on Nakatani, but really good fight for us boxing fans on Sunday. This isn't a walkover, but as I just said there, to reiterate, he will get to Nishida, and he will get his first defeat of his career because he's that good. He's that special. He's a superstar. And just soak it up as he's fighting. He's still only about 27, 28, Dave. Yeah. He's coming into his prime. It's so exciting to see. And he's a big lad as well for the weight. He won't be down at bantamweight for long. It's only a matter of time before he jumps up to super bantamweight and we see the monster versus Junto Nakatani. But yeah, before I give the round, mate, Nakatani, how are we seeing this? Well, I probably know how you're seeing it, but your thoughts on the superstar himself.
You know me, mate. I think he's fantastic. I love everything that he does, and I said it in on Monday's show that's my favourite fight. Other than Navarrete against Sugar Nunes.
Yeah, we've had yeah.
So, but it's all at the minute. Number one for me is Nakatani versus Inoue, and he just does everything special. He is a special fighter. You know, he can punch with you. He can outbox you. He can stand in the pocket. He can box on the back foot. For me, he can pick and choose how he wants to be. Now, he's in with Nishida, who's a world champion in his own right after good 10 fights. Fair play.
Good fighter.
He is a good fighter, a good technical boxer. That the only thing that he lacks is a bit of pop. If you're looking at his record there, he's got 10 wins and 2 KOs. I think that's that. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the difference in this fight, but it's a major factor. It's being able to keep Junto Nakatani off. Now you can have your moments, you can have your rounds where you're boxing very well, but when it comes to stepping up in the gears and and smelling blood and going through the gears and getting the stoppage, Junto Nakatani has the difference, the equalizer, and that for me that's the difference. I think Nishida will start very well, you know, and be in the fight, and I think he'll be in the fight to the mid rounds. I believe for me that Junto Nakatani then steps up again, shows levels for me, shows elite level stuff. You know, we can talk about unifications of world champions, but there's elite, and for me, Junto Nakatani is elite. And as we go into the championship rounds, this is where the difference is for me, and this is where he will step up to a level and show class and overtake the fight, wear him down, break his heart, and take his soul. And for me, I think he wears him with a TKO. Nishida wears him down, Nakatani, and stops him in round 10. I think Nishida will be in the fight in the early rounds. I think he'll show some class. Yeah. But I think there's levels to this, and I think there's gears, and that'll be the difference.
Yeah, I'll do round 8, mate. Anybody that's listening and watching, just tune in Sunday morning, Sky Sports Action. Just enjoy him. We're in an era where we've got some, as Dave said, they're elite fighters. Your Usyk's, your Inoue's, your Crawfords, Nakatani, Bam Rodriguez as well is coming up to enter that elite category. It's really just enjoy what he does on Sunday morning. I just can't see him getting beat. He's such a special talent. Just quickly on this card, I did mention, I think it might have been Nakatani's last fight. We saw Tenshin Nasukawa. I'm terrible. I'm getting worse than Dave for names. Tenshin, we call him. Anybody will remember the name Tenshin? Fought Floyd Mayweather a few years back in the exhibition fight. Started crying when Floyd beat him in 1 or 2 rounds, whatever it was. He's a professional boxer now. He's ranked number 1. I remember me and Dave speaking about how the fuck's he ranked number 1. Yeah. Big superstar in Japan. Went in with Jason Maloney and outboxed him. Yeah. And we went and had a look at him and thought, this kid's got something. He's on the show. He's on this show as well, on the undercards. He's bound to be co-main chief support because he's such a superstar over in Japan for everything he's done outside of boxing. Now he's making a career in boxing. He takes on the Victor Santinian over 10 rounds. Watch him. He's very entertaining as well. But Japan cards normally deliver, even if you don't know the names. Just have a nosy at it. And I think you have a really good Sunday before you go on the beer. We'll probably be on the beer before then anyway. But yeah, really good weekend of boxing to look forward to, mate. Just before we wrap up, which fight are you looking forward to the most over these 7 fights you previewed? Where are you buying a ticket for, brother?
I'm going to go for Fabio Wardley versus Huni. I think that's probably the closest fight of the weekend. Well, again, we spoke about Callum Simpson, but for name value, especially amongst us, that's probably the biggest fight out of the lot. I love Junto Nakatani. Yeah. I know it's a unification. But I just feel like he's levels above. So if you're looking at name value, Wardley Huni is a decent match and name value, and I think that'd be a good fight. So if you're going to get me to pick one out of the 7, I would look at that one. What are you thinking?
I'm Junto because he's perfect.
He is. Yeah, he is. He's perfect. A special fighter.
Yeah, I'm going Junto. But there is some good knocks going on this weekend, guys. Right, winners weekly wager coming near to the end of the show. I won 2 weeks ago. I went for Moses Atuma to get the job done in 1 round. There was £62 in our charity pots. He done it in 2 rounds. So I would just pick up 3 points there.
I didn't pick that.
I know. Well, I picked 3 points up. We turn it into pounds. Yeah. Dave doubles it. You know, there's an extra £6 goes into the pot. So that makes £68 going into our charity pot for this weekend. Dave obviously won last week's prediction league. So with the winner's weekly wager, Dave gets to pick the banker of the week. What way are you looking this way, mate, out of the 7 fights we previewed? What are you thinking, brother?
Easy for me. You know, I think you know already.
Abdullah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If I want to do a banker, it's Abdullah Mason.
Yeah. Round 3, you said, didn't it? Yeah.
I did say round 3, so hopefully we get it for us. Because to be fair, I haven't called many rounds. Like I say, I got what's his name this week? Bang on. My mind's gone blank.
Oh yeah, you did. Where's my notes? You did get it bang on, didn't you? You got a Tuma. You got a Tuma.
Yeah, Tuma. Sorry, Moses. Yes, sorry. My mind went blank for a second. Yeah, I think that's the first this season that I've got bang on. So it would be nice for us to get a winner's weekly wager bang on, because I don't think we've done that yet at Full House.
No, I'm not sure. No, I think you're right.
But yeah, I'm going for Abdullah Mason, mate. You know, if we're looking at bankers, that's got to be the banker of the week.
Yeah, I think most people listening agree as well. It's the only way to go. He's just spoke about Junto there. We've got another guy that seems to be very, very special, and it's got many more years to come. Right, we're not going to do a David McDonald because of time-wise. We're hoping to bring a show on Sunday. We can catch up on all things boxing in terms of news that we've missed. I'm free now. The football season's finished. I'll probably have a couple of beers later on in the day, so I won't come on pissed. I think Dave's got a free end by the sounds of it on Sunday lunchtime as well. So we'll probably bring you a show, and it'll be after, obviously, Nakatani does Nakatani things, and obviously Opetaia early on in the morning. But we are going to speak about Loma, Dave. If you wanted to mention Loma, we all wanted to speak about Loma announcing his retirement today. What age was he? I didn't catch what age he was. Was he mid-30s?
37. So I'll do it because I had this on my David McDonald, which I'll have anyway. I'll announce it as if I've done it. So,
sorry.
So Vasily Lomachenko has now officially announced his retirement from boxing at the age of 37. Now, listen to this. This is impressive. You know, say what you want about anything else. The Ukrainian legend went 396-1 loss as an amateur. That's just never that will never be topped. I don't care who you are.
I just have to stop you there, unless you're going to say it as well. That one defeat, guys, that he lost, he avenged that.
He did.
He avenged that defeat, didn't he, as an amateur?
Yes.
So he's beat every man put in the ring with him as an amateur. That's fucking impressive.
And did he? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it first or second pro fight that he lost? Second. And then he avenged that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he won 396, which is amazing. When you think my son has had one, and he's 14 years old, so 300 of my son's fights, 96, nearly 400, and he lost one. That's legendary. Winning 2 Olympic gold medals before turning professional and becoming a free weight world champion and pound for pound star. Listen, all the kudos to him. Amazing fighter. You've never seen anyone's footwork or anything like that. I mean, Usyk was the same trainer.
Usyk's a heavier version, isn't he? He's a heavier version of.
They're both an enigma. You'll never see anyone with the footwork and the style that Vasily Lomachenko had. I mean, his career's been amazing. For me, he'll go in the Hall of Fame, and so he should for everything he's done. And absolutely, I don't care about the defeats that he's had.
Let's talk about him. Let's quickly talk about him, Dave. The defeats that he did have. Obviously, you said there his second fight as a pro, he lost. I think it was a split decision many moons ago. His second fight, as we just said there, into the pro game. Lost, went away, avenged that. So it's very early in his career that we always say, it doesn't define you a defeat, and it clearly hasn't defined Lomachenko. The George Kambosos Jr. one, Teofimo Lopez defeat. Now, I agree. He lost that because he started far too slow. Yeah, far too slow, and he didn't do enough to make up the rounds. I think he won about the last 5 rounds, but it's a bit little too late. The Devin Haney one for me, the jury's still out there. He did not lose that for me. I think there was something. I'm not accusing brown envelopes or anything like that, but I just can't. It was a close fight, but I had Loma winning by 2 rounds. I think a lot of people have Loma winning 2 rounds. I think he thought and he knew he won the fight because he was bawling his eyes out in the dressing room. So, would you take off? Especially forget the first one because obviously that's an introduction to the pro game. But Teofimo Lopez defeat, obviously a world champion. Devin Haney defeat as well. What do you remember most about those?
I'm with you. I agree. He did start too slow in the Teofimo Lopez fight. Had he had the chance to do things differently, I think he could have done. But then Teofimo, we speak about Teofimo. He's one of them guys that steps up. He does. He in the big occasions, he does come to the table for me. So that's probably an okay. I can live with that. I've never been comfortable with the Devin Haney one. Never.
No, still not. No.
Listen, I'm not worried about the first one. You know, these things happen. He's a pro. I will say this, and I was about to say it. He was a freeweight world champion, but he was always a blown up guy. He was always the smallest guy in there. Yeah,
he was above his natural weight, mate.
He should never have gone up to them weights. Yes, for legacy and stuff. He won world titles at them weights, and that's fine. But I do believe that size was the difference in his defeats. Now, if he stayed at his natural weight at lightweight, he would never have been beaten. No one, well, I don't care who we are. No one could have touched him. The reason that, we say this about guys moving up in weight. Some of these special guys that go up in weight, get beat by the fact that they weren't big enough. That's usually what does it. And I honestly, hand on heart, feel that for Lomachenko. As soon as he went up in weight, he still had all the skills, but there's always this cliche of a great big guy always beats a great small guy, and I always felt that in his defeats, and with Lomachenko. So listen, but take nothing away, he won world titles at all the weights he was at anyway. So
I think he's got a record as well of doing it the quickest ever.
Yeah,
quickest to win one world title, quickest to win.
He was world champion after fucking 5 or 6 fights or whatever it was, 7 fights, whatever it was.
So he's in the history books already, man.
And listen, you can't blame him with 400 amateur fights and one defeat. We talk about fast tracking. Yeah, I mean, listen, he goes down as an all-time great.
Yeah.
I mean, you had I wouldn't say you had a pop at him, but you did say about holding up the division. We need to know what's happening with him.
Yeah, and I stand by that.
And that's right. It's rightly so. Listen, it doesn't matter how great you are. If you're not active and stuff like that, there's people that pay their sanctioning fees. They need to have their opportunities, and I'm with you on that.
On now. Yep.
I'm glad he's made a decision now. At 37, he goes in. He's an all-time great. Again, I said it at the start of this. His footwork and his lateral movement, you've never seen before, and I go as far as to say you probably never will see again. No. He was absolutely the way they called him the Matrix. The way he used to move around
for a reason.
He used to find them before they even knew that he was there. Like he could have punched them in the back of the head from behind without them even knowing. He was. Listen, you'll never see it again. It was an amazing style, amazing fighter, and best of luck to him. Go on. I hope he's made enough money. I'm sure he has to live a great life. He's been fantastic at boxing. His style was amazing, and for any youngster, I'd like to think people are listening. Listen, I mean that style. If you could go and be anywhere near to emulating anything that Lomachenko does, you'd be a great fighter.
You go for fantastic. Yeah, you're right, mate. The Matrix. It's like if someone done a dimension, wasn't it? His speed, the agility, the balance, the rhythm, the timing. You won't see a fighter like it again. Not in our.
That Jamaican fella,
Nicholas Walters.
Yeah, and he was calling the ref in to stop him and all that, and he was just.
What's your most favourite win? Now you mentioned Walters. What's your most famous win? Your favourite win? Mine's the way he beat Rigondeaux, made him quit.
That's right. Yeah,
in 6 rounds. The Cuban superstar. We all know Cubans, guys, how well they are at boxing, the footwork, the range finding, the accuracy, the timing. He could have been the Cuban that night, Lomachenko. He absolutely schooled Rigondeaux, made him quit after 6 rounds. Fantastic. You knew he'd arrived by then.
I've got his box rec up, right? So after his 3rd fight, right, he fought Gary Russell Jr.
Yeah.
In his 3rd fight as a pro.
Another champion.
Yeah. Then he's fought Nicholas Walters, Jason Souza, Rigondeaux, Linares, Pedroza, Anthony Crolla, Luke Campbell, Teofimo Lopez, Richard Comey.
Didn't he make Mariaga quit as well, Dave? Or have I made that up?
Yeah.
Mariaga.
He did. Yeah, he did round 7. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I mean,
he took the piss out of people.
For his 18 wins, 3 losses, for his 21 fights, Like he's 21 pro bouts. You look at the names in there. He should have been fighting their names after fighting 20 tin cans. You know what I mean? Like, if he doesn't have the amateur pedigree, he does what we talk about. No disrespect, Abdullah Mason. He has the 10 fights where he's banging people over and all that sort of stuff. The resume for 21 fights is ridiculous.
That's what you call fast tracking. That's what you call fast tracking people.
And in them 21 fights, he's won world titles at 3 different weights. It's fucking ridiculous. Take away the losses. Take away the losses. No, that's ridiculous, mate. Like I say, and it's ridiculous.
You're bound to see him again in terms of, well, not so much TV work. His English is very poor, but you'll probably see him in the corner with some Ukrainian fighters. I'm guessing he might go into the Ukrainian national team and do bits and bats there. I think Usyk's always on about giving something back to his, his national team.
Yeah, I think they'll do something them too. Yeah.
I think we have to mention the dad as well, Papachenko. He doesn't get spoken about enough. That what he done for him as a kid, taking him to ballet to learn footwork and things like that, and his influence of Usyk. Usyk calls him back into the big fights because he knows when Papachenko's in his corner, it's kind of the real deal. It's time to get serious. And
let me say on him as well. Sorry to butt in, mate. We talk about father and fighter relationships. Yes, there's probably a language barrier. You don't hear anything from him. It's all about his son. You know what I mean? And he's the trainer. He's not there doing interviews with fucking IFL and all this other shit where they make it about him. He's made it about his son. He's turned
Ukrainian IFL, Ukrainian version.
He's turned his son into an absolute legend, and he's not standing there taking any credit. Do you know what I mean? You don't see him. Yeah. Fantastic, mate. Fantastic career, class.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end it, mate. Class. Nothing else is needed. Vasily Lomachenko. Thank you, brother. Right. Time to go. 8:30. I don't want to go to work. I'd rather sit and talk boxing, but I think we're going to bring a show to you on Sunday, as we just said.
We're going to have to, by the way, because there's so much news. Like I wrapped off about 12 just this week.
There you go. But we haven't done anything for about a month. About a month. Proper news for about a month, isn't it? So
I'm going to go through the whole month and pull out highlights.
Yeah. I might actually crack open a beer after Junto and we can have a bit of fun with it and talk about what's gone on over the weekend. But we will be back. If it's not Sunday, it will be Monday. I'm going to wrap it up now, guys. End of episode 126. Like, share, and subscribe before we go, or whatever podcast platform you're on, including YouTube. And have a great weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the boxing, but also I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. So until then, until Sunday, take care. Dave, peace out, brother. Enjoy your evening.
Take care, me old mate.